Today I'm going to talk about GPS, Global Positioning System. Could be a lifesaver. Also, I want to point out I never use only a GPS. I always have a real map and a compass with me. And to make it complete, I got Gaia on my phone as well, which is a good map system, but I always prefer and use a real map. But still, GPS is really handy. Of course, I'm not going to explain everything, how it works. There's a manual you can read, what we always do, but use the manual to understand the buttons because we've got different GPSs, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to say what I use and what I think is really handy. The first thing is, well, you can check your position with the GPS. It gives you coordinates and you can put those coordinates on the map. That's the first thing and the most important thing for me. Second thing is the bearing. It gives you a bearing and you can adjust your compass on your bearing. You will see it in the video later. And really important is you use the good position format and map date when you're working with a GPS and a map together. I'll explain that later as well. Like in Europe, to get my location, I don't really need a GPS. I almost never use it for that because I can find that one on the map. But the first time I was in Canada, I could understand why people using GPSs because those maps are really hard to read, because there's not much information on there. I explained it in the previous video. Also important, you see the video on map and compass first, and then you're gonna take a look at this one. We talk safety, also really important, because your GPS gives you your exact location. So in case of an emergency and you can reach the search and rescue, you can give them your location exact, not like I'm about in that forest around that mountain. No. In your personal life, you do whatever you like. If you want to use just GPS, do so, but as a guide, you need to have a real map. That's my opinion. If you can't find them, if they're not around, if there are not real good maps from the area, okay, there's a different ball game, but normally most areas have maps. So if you're going on a guided tour with a guide, just check it out. Ask the guide to see his map. Different GPSs, but they'll do the same. So this is like cheap versions, the E-Trax, were around $100. This is the Map 62, and this is the GPS Map 66i. So this is an InReach, which is a communication device through satellites as well. This is one I use because of safety, but I could do it with only that, the GPS part. And I always use a GPS together with the map and the compass. When my GPS ready, I want to have a few things I can see immediately. Location and bearing, those two. And then you can choose for other options like distance to location, altitude, all the other stuff, but bearing and locations with the grid numbers, with the GPS coordinates, I want to be able to enter fast. Then you gotta check the GPS if it's in metric or feet. I prefer metric system. And you gotta put it on true north or magnetic north, but since I always use a map, I always put it on true north, but it's a choice. Again, position format, really important. Map date, really important. And if you can't find it on the map, remember this, put it on UTM UPS WGS84. So positioning format UTM UPS, map date WGS84, because that's they use the most. So you're much likely to have the good system. I'll explain it in the video next. Enjoy! So the first thing you do is, when you use a map and the GPS together, is find the positioning format and the map date on the map. Before you start your trip into the bush, make sure you've done that. Sometimes it's hard to find, but there it is, UTM WGS84 for the French map. And for the Canadian map, I found the map date as well, NET83 WGS84. So there's UTM UPS system as well. Both maps, UTM UPS WGS84 at position format. So position format here is Dutch grid, map date Dutch. Well, I gotta change that, so enter, and now I can go through all this. Found it, enter, and the map date is okay, WGS84. I could change that as well. I got all these possibilities, but I'm staying at WGS84. So if you can't find information on the map because maybe it's a copy, always put your GPS on UTM UPS WGS84. That's the most likely system they use. About data fields, I like to have the GPS accuracy on there for sure, the bearing for sure, and the location and coordinates for sure. All the others you could change, maybe distance to destiny, but you could change. But like I said, GPS accuracy, the bearing, and location are the three most important for me. And of course, I have a watch like with an altitude meter. Could be handy on this one as well. With the data fields on your GPS compass, same thing. I got bearing, I got location, and GPS accuracy, and distance to destination. But those three, bearing, location, GPS accuracy, are the ones I use. The others I don't use that much. So when I start a hike, and that's my car, it could be base camp, could be anything else, I'm going to put that coordinate in my GPS, so I can always find my base camp or car back. Also, when I'm not really sure which grid system they use or which map date, I'm going to check. So I'm going to turn my GPS on, I'm going to look at the coordinates, I know where I am already, and I'm going to mark the spot with the coordinates from the GPS to check if it is the same spot that I am. So that way I know I'm using the good grid system, the good position format and map date. One of the most important things I use my GPS for when I'm, traveling through terrain like this, to check my location. Check my location and mark the grids I see my GPS on the map, and that way I know where I am. Okay, I'm gonna mark my parking spot in my GPS. The accuracy is within 3 meters. You can see the coordinates visible, Dutch grid. So I'm gonna mark my car. I'm gonna give it a name. I've been hiking for a while and now I want to get back to my car. Well, over here it's easy to find, but still, imagine you're in the bush, in the real bush, or maybe even if there's fog or you don't have a lot of daylight left, maybe it's even dark, all the stuff you don't want to happen but could happen. I'm going to turn on my GPS. I'm going to check the bearing to the location I want to go, and then I put that bearing on my compass. It's really a nice trick and I use it really often. There it is, and already gives me information. Waypoint 1111. It's 149 meters and 236 degrees. Enter. Up. There it is. Putting my compass on 236. So now I'm going to use my compass to go through the bush. I keep my GPS has the same information, but I don't really like the compass on a GPS, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to put this one in my pocket and using my compass. So that's where I should go, and I will. Okay, I had to go around stuff, go through stuff, so I think I'm a bit off grid. So I'm going to recalculate. The bearing on my GPS says 176 now. So I'm going to put that on my compass. 176. Let's check it out. Got it on 176 degrees. Check it out. And there is my car. Yay! I can go home. So it's really handy to use compass and GPS together, and your map, of course. Another good function on your GPS in case of safety is the track back function. I like to spare my batteries, so I turn off my GPS, but in dangerous terrain like up in the mountains I will keep it running. So when you got like fog or a snowstorm, anything else, I could always use the track back function. So I'll take back the same route as I came up. So especially in steep terrain in the mountains, that could be real good and handy and safe function. So there's much more with GPS, of course. You could do geocaching, never done it. Logging like routes in there, never do it. But you could, but for that's the manual, not me. I use a map and a GPS and a compass together.